Good evening, C3 parents. Oh, let me get my mic closer, then you can actually hear me. Welcome. And tonight we are talking about friendships and as we grow older. Now, I have a amazing little list that I need to keep up to make sure that I actually stick to everything that I want to say. And I just want to say welcome. Welcome to the conversation. If you're watching this after the fact, please remember to type in hashtag replay. Please hit that like button. It really supports the channel, it gets the video out there, and share it with your friends. Now, let's get all that's the admin part gone. Okay, let's dive into making friends, being parents, and how lonely it can be to be a parent or to become a parent, and it feels like all your friends just disappear. And the big thing is we get bombarded by media over and over. All the stories where there's a strong female lead or there's a female lead, she's always in this cluster of other women that is in the same stage or women that grew up with them. And it creates that idea for a lot of us, especially as the women specifically, that we have to find we kind of some in some other way we failed as a human being, and we're unlovable because we don't have friends that necessarily grew up with us, like we met each other in preschool and just journeyed life together. There is people that actually have that, and I'm happy for you. Really, I am. There's a part of me that's a little bit jealous of you. I myself have been a bit of a transient person, and through the phases of my life, um, my friendship groups and the dynamics of my relationships with my friends have changed. And that is probably also more on the norm than the cluster of people growing up together, being friends since they were in diapers and never have grown apart. It really takes a very um, similar life journey for the two people to be on, for them not to grow apart at stages. There's some people that have been friends as children, grew apart, and then when they meet up again as adults, they're like, hey, but your crazy still matches my crazy. Let's remain friends. But the reality is, of all the life changes that we can go through as people, one of the biggest ones is starting a family. This is nothing against child free people. I am absolutely 100% supportive of child free people and respect their choices and decisions that they make. And you, as a parent that decided to grow your family, to expand your family, need to respect the fact that some of your friends who are child free may disappear from the radar. Their interests, their life experiences will be different. Where we as parents can talk about our kids 24/7. And think about it, even if you and your significant other go on a date night, how much of the conversation in that night does not revolve around your kids? Let's be honest, our lives changes, and it is such a dramatic change. Our priorities shift, our experiences shift, and then there is the whole change in parenting styles. Now, certain countries are in different stages of this changing parenting styles, but more and more countries are moving, and people are moving towards gentle parenting. Um, and that also has an impact on the friends that you had children, and now you have a child, and your parenting styles clash, your parenting styles differ, and you reach a point where you either decide, you know what, we can journey together, that's good, or we reach a point where we say, this is not for me. It's really tough, or the kids just doesn't get along. I think that is one of the things that sometimes for a parent actually hurts a little bit, like the hardest, is when you have like a good friend, a best friend, you both have kids, and your kids, their personalities just does not gel. Like you and your best friend get along obviously like a house on fire, but your kids, when they see each other, it is it's like oil and water, and that can have a significant impact on your friendship as well, because you both want to enjoy the journey of being parents together, and it's really difficult then to carve out space for each other when your time you spend together is focused on conflict resolution with the two kids or the three kids or the whatever amount of kids there is involved, instead of building your friendship. And I will actually try to circle back to how we handle that. I do have a couple of friends where my kids and their kids just didn't gel, but we're very good friends. And we did try different strategies. Um, but chances are that if the kids don't gel, chances are that your paths will split. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. But what happens a lot when you become a parent, when your priorities shift, there's like this dramatic change. Like the first 3 months to 6 months, you are in survival mode. Whether it's your first child, whether it's your second child, whether it's your third child that you add to the mix, there is a survival mode period where you almost just go into your bunk, retreat into your bunker, and if nobody reaches out to you or comes to meet you, you will reemerge once you start feeling like, okay, we've got this. And that is usually the time period where a lot of the friends and friendships kind of take a dent. And it is not a criticism to you as a parent or as a person in that first 6 months when you're in survival mode. Not everybody knows or not everybody understands, truly come to grips with it, that this person is barely sleeping, they're barely coping, life is full of pressures constantly on them, trying to keep this little person alive, that the friend and outside people is not a priority at that particular period in time. And it doesn't mean that you love them less, but a lot of people do feel, they feel rejected, they feel isolated, they feel like, oh, now that you've had a kid, now I don't matter anymore. And friendships can get damaged. So, on the one hand, those of us who already have kids that know that that first 6 months to a year is just a nightmare. Reach out, stay in contact with the parent, with the newborn. Um, be the one that puts in the effort, even if it is sending a WhatsApp and knowing that that person's probably reading it, answering it in their head, and not getting back to you without feeling rejected, without making it an issue and wondering, like, oh, but is there now something wrong between the two of us? It literally just means that this person is barely keeping head above water, and you're just at this particular point in time in their journey not a priority, not because they don't love you, not because they don't care for you, purely because they barely have a chance to wash their hair or go to the loo. Um, so having that grace, being on the outside side of that, but being on the inside of that, a lot of parents post often that they feel lonely and they feel isolated. They feel like they on this journey and they don't have a tribe around them. They have their they might have parental support from their elders, um, but because we are generations apart and there's a shift in parenting styles, um, there's a bit of a confusion from the older generations exactly where they fit into the narrative. The younger generation don't know exactly where the older generation fit into the narrative, and there's conflict there. And everybody's just trying to figure out how to survive. And in the meantime, people that this parent relied on pre-birth all of a sudden don't know how to ask for help, because for some other reason society creates the idea that because having children is seen as such a natural step or not such a natural process, that the moment someone falls pregnant, they should completely 100% know exactly how to raise a child, what all the milestones look like, what everything fits together, or at least we think that people expect of us to know. And then we're scared to ask. And then we ask in toxic places like on Facebook groups or in places where there's thousands of people. And then you ask a question that maybe a handful of people or the loudmouths um, see as "Oh, it's such a stupid question" kind of reaction. And then your confidence even takes a bigger knock and makes it so much more difficult then to reach out to someone and say, I honestly don't know what's the next step. I don't know how to handle this. And as much as social media has made it easier to connect, it made it far or easier to stay in touch. It made it far more difficult to connect and truly authentically connect with people. I have close to 1,000 friends on my on social media, and I like friends. Sorry, that's still left over from COVID. A bit of a cough. Um, but very few of them would be people that I can honestly say, you know what, I know you personally. We've had a emotional, deep emotional connection journey with each other. Um, it is almost like being in a crowd and still being alone or feeling alone. And a lot of parents experience that. A lot of parents experience that they can even go to a children's party where the kid is invited and they look at all the other parents and they still feel alone and isolated. And I think that is the crux of the battle that a lot of parents face. Now, unfortunately, there's a couple of things that makes growing older and making friends form a little bit more difficult. If you go look at kids, when they make friends with someone that's, oh, you're willing to play with me, let's go, because I've got energy to burn, we have fun things to do. Then peer pressure comes in and it's like, oh, do you fit with me? Do you fit with my, and you start sifting through the people that you engage with due to what you've been taught at home and then the outside influences. And so you start building up a set list, a filtering list in your head of with who can you connect and who you won't connect with, people who you will get along with and who you don't won't get along with. And unfortunately, as our brain matures, this set list actually becomes more rigid, and less flexible, almost less open. And if you go and look at the people that's the most rigid, usually in um, pushing against change, pushing against adapting to things, is the older people get. I've realized now that I'm in my 40s, I've realized that, oh, you know what, I'm really struggling with certain processes of adapting to things. As open minded as I am, as open as I am for new experiences, I've realized that there's a part of me that's like, "Oh, I'm just too old for this. I can't deal with this." But that rigidity in our thinking makes it far more difficult for us to make new friends. And unfortunately, as we grow older and our chapters in our life changes, the story of our life starts adapting and growing and adding new bits and pieces to it, our values do change, our preferences do change, our needs do change. So, for every new chapter, for every new journey that we go on to, our needs for the kind of friends that we need around us do change. And it becomes then very difficult sometimes to sit and say, oh my word, you know what? I was such great friends with so and so. And I can't relate with that person anymore, and it's sad and it hurts, and it's good to mourn the loss of that friendship. But we sometimes get stuck in the loss, and instead of seeing the opportunity, you have grown, and therefore there's other people that have grown as well, and they are looking for someone to connect with. But now we're sitting there like, you know what? We put all the blame on ourselves. So, you know what? Maybe I did something wrong. I'm the one that can't really make friends. I struggle to reach out. I struggle to connect. I struggle to open my heart. Um, do they believe this? Do they believe that? Do they, have this whole checklist? And certain things on that checklist is extremely important because you are known by with who you associate with. But there's a lot of things on our checklists that is, first of all, negotiable, and second of all, probably no longer really matters. Honestly, I don't care. Like there was, I went through a phase that if you dress in a very in a certain way, I don't want to be seen in public with you. And that kind of got stuck for a very long time in my head. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I actually had to let that prerequisite go because I've realized I started hitting the age where that style of dressing is kind of in the ballpark of where um, people my age and people that that's in the same life phase as what I am in dress, and I need to let those things go. So maybe go through your own personal checklist and just decide what you're letting go. The other thing that we need to do is we actually need to put ourselves out there, take the risk. And I know rejection hurts like crap. And you know what? And when you get older, you're like, "Oh, I don't have the patience for this. I don't have the energy for this." And it's like, really, why? The interesting thing is the person that you're reaching out to probably has the same fear of rejection as what you have. I have gone through the process, and I'm speaking, and I can guarantee you so many parents have gone through this, where we had to rethink and reshape our tribe, reapproach how we make friends, put ourselves out there, take the risk of being rejected, and learning from that rejection, not as a disclaimer on you as a person, but a, you know why this relationship didn't work out? Because we actually didn't really not see eye to eye on extremely important ideologies or topics or things that matter. But you know what? That person and I, yo, we get along like a house on fire. We talk each other's language. And then instead of waiting for them to be the one to say, hey, come over for a coffee, be the one that says, hey, you know what? I really enjoyed our meet up the other day where we met each other, like bumped into each other at the shops or whatever. And can we have a cup of coffee together? Don't be afraid to ask a phone number of someone, a parent that you've just met, and the kids get along and you kind of had a good vibe. Have a play date with them, and then after the play date, decide, is this a friendship or a person or a family? Because that's the important part. When you make friends, parenting friends, we're not just investing in the person we're making friends with. It is an investment in that family, because that family, those kids, the life partner of that person becomes part of your life as well. So after you've spent 2 3 hours together talking, finding, almost like a first date with each other, is that person and that family a family that you want to invest in and willing to get to know, and then build it from there. Some people are truly, honestly, just the kind of people that it's not that they don't like you, they're just not very communicative. um, they will think about you and think, oh, I need to send that person a message, check in on them, and then they kind of just disappear. And then, like, 3 months down the line, they're like, oh crap, I still wanted to invite them, didn't get around to it. If you're that person, when you think of someone, have a little to-do list thingy and put phone Johnny or Sarah for a coffee on your to-do list. I've got friends that joke, they know that they are on my to-do list. And I try to, like, leave little spaces in how I do my to-do list to put in a friend's name for a phone call, whatever, so that as I go through my to-do list, when I get to that, let's say to-do number 5, I was like, oh, phone Sarah. And then I'm like, hello, Sarah. And then I phone them, because first of all, it helps me personally stay in touch with my friends, but it also helps build the new friendships, build my tribe. And that in the end of the day is what we need. Human beings are not isolation people. We are not on an island. And we actually saw it now with COVID, how much isolation has caused um, the lockdowns and all of that has caused mental health struggles, and so much more for new parents. And these, because we're not supposed to be, we're supposed to have a tribe, we're supposed to have people that we can turn around and say, you know what, my kid did this, and I'm not sure, yo, how am I going to handle this? Because I don't know. Or, you know what? We're in a new phase and I have not done that. Someone that you can be honest with about your parenting journey, someone you can reach out to, that when there's a crisis, you actually have someone that you can go, like, listen here, I need you to take my kid because I need for an hour because I need to go there to sort, like, we need to start rebuilding that tribe. Yes, obviously, we meet some parents on social media. My closest hearts friends in South Africa, um, I personally have met through a breastfeeding support group, Lalish League, where we sat together and like, hey, our weirdness mixes okay together. Let's spend some time together. And they're like really my closest friends. And another friend of the Musketeers, we met through, well, your child joined the is you're looking for a place for your child to do gym activities. Your kid and my kids seem to get along okay. Hey, would you like to have a play date? And we grew closer and closer together. Here, when we moved to the Netherlands, it literally was like, your child is having a play date with my child. We've spoken a couple of words with each other. Let's go have a cup of coffee, and started building that. It's not that I'm surrounded by hundreds and thousands of friends constantly, and that my tribe is millions of people. Um, but it's understanding that it also takes time to build the friendship, time to grow together, time to suss out where is the investment to do this. And I think one of the challenges for parents often is we have so little time truly for ourselves that it makes it sometimes the cost of maintaining friendship becomes time expensive. Like, time really becomes expensive. So we really only want to spend time with people that we we care about and that we want to connect with. And it actually then makes it even a little bit more difficult to make friends. So go out, go put yourself out there, go chat with someone for 5 to 10 minutes, decide whether you would like to have a cup of coffee. If the kids get along, have a cup of coffee together, meet up, reach out, and don't be ashamed or afraid to say, hey, you know what, I would like to have a cup of coffee with you, or hey, you know what, um, let's see where this goes. There was a stage that I actually considered like maybe we should create an app for almost like how you have Tinder for dating, where you have like a Tinder kind of thing for new parents and parents on this journey to make new friends and set up play dates. Um, and unfortunately, in the world we live in, we have a severe mistrust usually, especially when we have kids. Like, my kids' safety is very important. I'm not gonna like pick a rando on the internet to organize a play date with the kids with. Um, Go out to the parks where kids play and see which parents are involved with their kids in the way that you are. You can often see if there's a parent in the park or in the restaurant where there's a play area, how they treat their kids, whether that gels with your parenting style, because I do believe that also is one of the things that plays has a huge impact on how we maintain our friendships with fellow parents. Um, if I'm a gentle parent and the person that I'm spending time with is not a gentle parent, not willing to learn or willing to consider treating their child in a more gentle manner, I cannot expose myself to that kind of situation. Yes, I can, as a coach, I can work with them on a professional level, but on a deep, intimate, personal level, our priorities and our views of the space and the importance of kids and the whole child as a human being is in such two different spaces that I cannot be friends with that person. Um, because I will speak up and actually probably cause more problems than build a bridge. Um, so on a professional level, yes, I can journey with you. If you're open to learn, I can journey with you. But on a personal level, we may not necessarily be friends, and that is the reality of it. So, guys, if you have any questions, I just quickly want to make sure that I've um, now I did cover all the points that I wanted to make. And then one last thing, guys. You'll see on the banner there is a Patreon symbol. Please join the Patreon club. It's $3.50 a month. It is quite nice and cheap. It helps the channel going. It helps us grow. And then what you get a couple of benefits. You get a podcast, you get a video a month, a podcast and a workshop, and you have direct access to the parenting coach. And it really helps out the channel, it helps us out. And for our Patreons that we want to say thank you for tonight is Lynette McLean, Hanneke Peters, and Cherise Lombard. Welcome to the Patreon family, and we look forward to our journey together. Guys, please stay safe. I love you with all of my heart, and I'll chat with you and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.